It's the one-year anniversary of Dodd-Frank. Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke and other top regulators are heading to the Hill today to testify before the Senate Banking Committee, including CFTC Chairman Gary Gensler. And he joins us now before he testifies. Gary, thank you for joining us.
Good to be with you, Joe.
You know, we're here on this anniversary day. Gary, it's Andrew. Joe's here. He'll give you a hard time in a second. You know, one of the things I was thinking about this morning is that Wall Street seems to fear your derivative rules more so than the SEC's. I was looking at a quote from Jamie Dimon, who recently said, quote, "The CFTC way would damage America," unquote. And I'm curious if you could respond to that and explain the distinction between the way you've approached it and the way the SEC is approaching it.
Well, Andrew, I think on this one-year anniversary, it's helpful to remember why we're here. And the financial system failed America, and the regulatory system failed. In part was because of swaps, and they were not transparent. And one of the great reforms of the 1930s is transparent securities markets and transparent futures markets. That's what we're trying to bring here, is that buyers and sellers can meet in a marketplace and know what's being offered, what's being bid in a central electronic marketplace.
So when Jamie Dimon says that the way you're approaching it, though, is quote-unquote bad for America, why is that, and how do you respond to it?
Well, I think that it's actually good for America. It will lower costs by bringing more competition. What Dodd-Frank in the derivatives area did was really promote market reforms for openness and competition. Now, that might tip the playing field a little bit away from some of the established large players in this market.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about funding. I know it's been a big issue in light of all that's going on in Washington. And my understanding is that you are one of the only non-self-funding financial regulators out there. Obama put industry fees into the budget request, but doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Well, that is true. We are work with Congress each year, as we have for decades, on our funding. And we're a small agency, only about 700 people, and we're taking on a market vastly larger, 7 times the size. We're not asking for 7 times more people, but we do think we need a bump up to about closer to 1,000 people to do this job right.
And so you believe you need to be self-funded, or no?
Well, I think that working with Congress, we need to get more funding. So it's about 50% more funding so that we can have cops on the beat and adequately police this market, and also answer industry questions. There are often people who are going to come in and try to lower regulatory uncertainty to get answers from us, and right now we don't have the people to do that.
I've never met a government agency that ever had enough money to get everything done. Hi, it's Michelle Caruso-Cabrera. Jane Wells was on yesterday with a farmer. You talk about why all of this legislation and all these regulations are so necessary when it comes to the banking industry, but it seems to be that Dodd-Frank is going to impact so many parts of the economy that actually we're not problematic. Farmers are very concerned about the cost of their hedging. They don't even know if they're going to be able to hedge.
The farmers will definitely be able to hedge. We're committed to that, and I think Congress intended that. And it will actually help to lower some of the risk and cost to the farmers. Let us not forget, just 3 years ago, the crisis meant that many of those farmers didn't have adequate sales of their grains and their livestock and so forth.
How much more insight do you have today than we had, say, in September of 2008 around who are the counterparties on most of the derivative transactions?
Well, we actually are about to get that. With this one-year anniversary, we're hoping to move forward in finalizing rules on something called swap data repositories in the next few weeks, and then we'll start to be able to collect data. But right now, the American public is yet to be protected, and the regulators don't yet really have that information.
Hey, Gary, I'm going to give you a hard time. I was actually wondering, we had Bart on Chilton, and he seems to think that it's a good idea to try and scare speculators once in a while. We, throw them a curveball with like an SPR release to make sure they don't get too complacent. And I just wonder, God, if you do that to oil, I mean, do we do it to interest rate? Suddenly we do it with foreign currency, wheat, sugar? I mean, is that really something the government should be involved in, just making sure guys are on their feet?
I think that what we are is we're to promote open and competitive and fair markets, hedgers and speculators meet in a marketplace, and we have to make sure that's transparent and free from fraud and abuse. But we do not set prices, and we don't regulate prices.
It's just weird that,
Right.
I don't know. I'm not sure what that SPR was.
Well,
the SPR, the Fed had nothing less, so maybe the SPR.
We got to go, but one of the issues, Gary just came out about a week or two ago, said that 80% of the futures trades are basically speculators, day traders.
doubt.
I mean,
No, that's right. That most of our market now is electronic trading, and the vast majority of it is day trading or spread trading. Between 5 and 20%
that
of
a
people
problem?
holding later.
Well, we can talk about whether that's a problem. Gary, we hope to have you back. Thank you so much, and good luck with your testimony today.